Good evening, and thank you for being here today. My name is Tara Bright Crouch, and I'm an attorney and the Chief of Staff in the Law Department of the Port Authority, and I'm this evening's hearing officer. With me to my right is Commissioner Elizabeth Fine of New York, and with me to my left is Commissioner Christian Bolwage of New Jersey. They both serve on the Board of Commissioners, the agency's governing body. We are holding this hearing for public comment because the Port Authority is considering the proposed capital plan for 2026 through 2035, the proposed 2026 budget, as well as proposed changes in tolls and fares for the use of our vehicular tunnels and bridges and PATH passenger rail facilities, and changes to the airport ground transportation access fees and the bus terminal fees. We've prepared materials to assist in explaining these proposals, including a written handout which can be found at the entrance to the hearing room. We will also shortly show a presentation describing the proposals. If there's something in the presentation you would like to hear again, it can be accessed on the Port Authority's website at panyj.gov/public hearings. The hearing will begin shortly after this presentation.
Founded more than a century ago, the Port Authority's mission is to keep the region moving. With a broad array of assets across the region, from airports to seaports, the PATH train, our bridges and tunnels, and the World Trade Center campus, the Port Authority is committed to keeping the region moving. Today, we'll review the Port Authority's proposed 2026 to 2035 capital plan, which builds on the strong momentum set in the previous capital plan to deliver the next generation of best-in-class infrastructure that will continue to advance the region. The Port Authority is financially self-sustaining. It receives no funding from either state and relies on raising the needed funds to construct, operate, and improve its facilities. The past 5 years have presented unique challenges to the Port Authority's operating environment, including revenue impacts from the COVID-19 pandemic, macroeconomic trends including inflation and tariffs, and rising interest rates. Despite these headwinds, the Port Authority drove the ambitious 2017 to 2025 capital plan forward to deliver transformative infrastructure projects across the region, including delivering key aspects of the transformation of the region's 3 major airports, including best-in-class facilities like the new LaGuardia and a new Terminal A at Newark. Rebuilding of the Goethals Bridge and advancing the $11 billion Midtown bus terminal replacement. Critical projects, including the raising of the Bayonne Bridge to increase the capacity of cargo movement at the seaport. Infrastructure investments and expanded capacity across the PATH system, and revitalization of the World Trade Center complex. It was a decade of achievement, but we're not done yet. The Port Authority has proposed an ambitious $45 billion capital plan that continues this unprecedented rebuilding program while maintaining our world-class standard and creating economic opportunity for the region. The 2026 to 2035 capital plan proposes $20 billion in spending across the airports, including the completion of an unprecedented transformation at JFK, including major terminals and brand new AirTrain cars and stations. At Newark Liberty, completing the replacement of the AirTrain and delivering an all-new Terminal B to bring every aspect of the airport up to the same world-class standard set by the award-winning Terminal A. And at LGA, replacing the 85-year-old Terminal A and vastly improving Q70 LGA Link bus access to the airport. These transformational projects in the proposed 2026 to 2035 capital plan are largely funded by private investments, cost recoveries, lease revenues, and fees, which make up 2/3 of our revenues. To support delivery of these ambitious goals, the capital plan proposes changes to airport access fees for for-hire vehicles and for taxis, which will be aligned with fees at peer airports across the country. The proposed modification would increase access fees for for-hire vehicles from $2.50 for each pickup and drop-off to $5 for each pickup and drop-off, effective March 15, 2026. The proposed modification would also increase airport access fees charged to taxis, which are currently $1.75 per pickup. Pickup fees for taxis would increase by 25 cents on March 15, 2026, with further 25-cent increases for each of the 2 following years. The proposed 2026 to 2035 capital plan would drive completion of an $11 billion best-in-class midtown bus terminal. Completed in 2 phases over the next 10 years, the inspiring, light-filled transit hub of the future will serve the needs of both the commuters and the community. To provide important support for the cost of building, operating, and maintaining this world-class facility, the 2026 to 2035 capital plan proposes updated carrier fees charged to bus companies operating at the Midtown bus terminal. Bus toll structures, which currently group all buses together, would be separated into 3 classes based on vehicle type: minibuses, 2-axle buses, and 3-axle buses. The proposed 2026 to 2035 capital plan would also drive $4.4 billion in state of good repair spending to ensure the resiliency of our crossings for another century, including advancing the comprehensive rebuild of the George Washington Bridge, extensive rehabilitations to the Outer Bridge Crossing and Lincoln Tunnel Helix, and planning for the future replacement of these assets in the 2036 to 2045 capital plan period. To support these critical tunnel and bridge investments, the 2026 to 2035 capital plan proposes phasing out the current $2 Easy Pass discount for autos and motorcycles offered during off-peak hours. The phase-out would take place at 50 cents per year, starting in 2027, and last 4 years. The discount program at the Staten Island bridges would remain unchanged. The truck discount at off-peak hours would remain unchanged, and the calculation of the Easy Pass peak rate for autos would remain unchanged. At the PATH commuter rail system, the 2026 to 2035 capital plan proposes more than $2 billion in key investments, including continued restoration of all tracks, installation of state-of-the-art anti-evasion fare gates, and support for major service increases. Under the proposed capital plan, for the first time in 25 years, all 4 PATH lines would operate 7 days a week in 2026 and offer major service increases, a direct response to feedback from the community calling for increased weekend service levels, including late-night service, and increased service during the weekday rush hours. To support these improvements, the 2026 to 2035 capital plan proposes a fare increase of 25 cents beginning in spring 2026, with additional 25-cent increases each January from 2027 through 2029. PATH's operations are unique. The PATH system receives no state or federal funding and subsidizes 75% of each PATH ride. The proposed increase in fares would provide critical funding for the proposed increases to PATH service. The capital plan we have put forward is a transformational, once-in-a-generation proposal. Every dollar in the proposed plan goes back into visible, tangible improvements that make the region and residents' lives better. We have proven, through the completion of the 2017 to 2025 capital plan, that we are capable of delivering major projects for the region. That ambition continues in the proposed 2026 to 2035 capital plan. Completing priority initiatives and advancing a new generation of projects that will modernize, strengthen, and expand the agency's infrastructure around the region. In addition to today's public hearing, there are numerous ways for the public to offer their feedback. Comments will be reviewed by the Port Authority Board of Commissioners prior to a final publication and adoption of the proposed 2026 to 2035 capital plan.
Thank you for watching. We are interested in what you have to say today. Comments today will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and the commissioners are here to listen, but there will not be a back-and-forth conversation. We have a clock to keep track of things so we know when the 3 minutes elapse, and you will get a warning when you're getting close to the end of your comment time. If you'd like to provide additional comments after this hearing, there are a number of ways for you to do that. First, you can go to our website, panyj.gov, www.portathority.org/public hearings, and you can make written comments there. You may also mail written comments addressed to Public Hearing Comments, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, 4 World Trade Center, 23rd floor, New York, New York, 10007. And in addition, you may provide comments regarding these matters at the December 18th, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting at 2 Montgomery Place, Jersey City, New Jersey, which is scheduled to begin at approximately 1:00 p.m. All public comments made in any form on the matters described above will be transcribed and also summarized by Port Authority staff and retained by the Port Authority for consideration by the full Board of Commissioners. We will now begin the public hearing portion of this meeting with the speakers. William Healy.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to start off. Commissioners, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. But I'm going to recognize the most important person in the room. Let me put some context to what we're talking about tonight. I believe that young lady is about 7 weeks old. I'm a grandfather of 3. They're all under 5. 2 of them live right here in Union County. What we're talking about tonight is going to benefit them for the entirety of their lives. Think about that for a moment. So I'm here to represent Jerry Keenan, my boss, president of the Alliance for Action. And we want to state right off the bat, we are in full support of the capital plan that has just been outlined and that the Port Authority proposes, as we have for other capital endeavors that the organization has undertaken. I believe the commissioners are familiar with the Alliance for Action, so I won't belabor that. As we're here in New Jersey this evening, I'd like to talk about the projects that will benefit the Garden State, upcoming new Terminal B, the air train and the EWR access that have already been begun. The Port Authority bus terminal serves 170,000 New Jerseyans every day. It's going to replace a facility that will be 80 years old by the time the new one is done. Upgrades to path stations and the major service enhancements are huge. I have an adult child who lives in Hudson County and uses the path every day. Rebuilding the Lincoln Tunnel Helix and the Outer Bridge crossing to Staten Island, vital thoroughfares between New Jersey and New York. Acting now to double port capacity by 2050 because it's going to be necessary and we need to keep doing what we've been doing. And dollars to fund the Port Authority's partnership in the most important infrastructure project in the nation, Gateway. That's far from everything that's going to be accomplished. The projects I've mentioned and many others are going to provide up to 30,000 construction jobs by union labor. Transportation access is what keeps our region economically vital, and clearly will do so in the future, which is why the Alliance for Action is energized by the Port Authority's historic commitment over 104 years. Yes, increases in fares and tolls will have to accompany this ambitious plan. The Alliance for Action considers this a very critical investment for New Jersey and the region's future. As I stated before, talk about this again, I consider the most important person in this room tonight and the 3 grandchildren that I have, and these projects are going to benefit them for their entirety of their lives. This is a forward-thinking plan. We need to act on it. We need to act on it now. I'm very honored to be able to lead off this hearing this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else present in the room who would like to speak tonight? Okay, we will take a brief intermission, and if anybody else wants to speak, you can register, and we'll keep the hearing open until 7:45. So having no additional speakers, the hearing is officially adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good night.